Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Street Trading here. We're kicking off this week's weekly trade watches for everybody. Looking at a 15-minute chart of SPY. It's actually going to be the first trading session of March 1st, actually. Let's get into it. So, quite an interesting month we had in the markets. Obviously, you can see this technical huge curl to the downside, printing its highs on the 16th. And we're seeing kind of the ugly side of the backside of the market. Now, as you can see, we pretty much had an identical last week of the month like we had the last week of the month in January. The boys brought SPY down to a key level and ended up reversing up. I think it was like 23, 24 points. Yeah, 25 points, like 26 points from lows to highs on the low of the last trading session for January, and then printed obviously highs 2 weeks after that in the middle of February. The last week of January was kind of the same thing, a little bit of shit show, had a nice bounce up, and you see what had happened. Now, the same scenario happened last week in the markets, right? So obviously the boys had this very deep emotional sell-off just like they had the last week of January, right? So is it a rinse and repeat? That's an argument. For sure it's an argument. But, you know, a lot of chatter over here was talking about, oh, the market's already peaked out. We're looking at the backside now. So, you know, you kind of fall into that trap until you see things like this. It can happen again. These are all setups, guys, right? Don't get it twisted. Now, could we get a bounce off this key level like we had back in the end of January for the reversal and have another month of all-time highs in March? It's possible, right? Point is, this level down here that you had that reversal was a key level that SPY broke off. I bounced off of. Now, 380 was holding for pretty much most of the month of February, but it got obviously penetrated into the last couple days of session of February, and obviously, you know, kind of is living right below that level right now. Now, it's a probability we're going to have another bounce and take out this all-time high of 394 and change whatever it is and continue to print up, maybe, you know, breach 400. Sure, right? Point is, guys, you know, the flow is unbelievably important. This is what's going to save you as far as having just a one-sided bias in the market, right? We all have our opinions, but at the end of the day, opinion doesn't mean shit. You know that. So going into this week's session, we have a little bit of a different game plan than we had going into previous week's session. We have our watches. I think we got 11 going into this week's session. But we're seeing, like we've been talking about this, we've been seeing the character change. We talk about this time and time again, day in, day out, week in, week out. There's a character change kind of happening, right? The narrative is there. There's a lot of things going on, right? And obviously you're seeing it kind of unfold in the market. So, you know, this identical mirror fade out at the end of the month, fade out at the end of the month, it's, you know, there's an argument there, but don't get it twisted. You know, it's a giant orchestration, guys, right? So everybody's looking at the same technicals. Everybody's looking at the same charts. So everybody's kind of thinking, okay, well, it bounced here. It's probably going to bounce here. All right, that's an argument. For sure, it's an argument. We're not convinced, but we can be completely wrong. But at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. We don't give a shit what anybody believes or thinks of how, you know, we do things, right? So we're going into this week's session a little differently. We obviously have, like I said, we have a weekly securities that we're looking at. We obviously, you have it printed on the site. We have 11 going in. Our dailies are going to be focused differently, right? We're always going to have our level set that we prepared here for you guys for this weekly watch list, but our day is going to be completely different. We're going to go into the detail here shortly. So right now, keep it keep it in your mind that we're testing a key level of a reversal that we saw at the end of January. We could see it again in February. It could test all-time highs. That's kind of the narrative, right? But like we always talk about, think differently, right? Think a little deeper. And this is leading us to believe that we may be introduced to another key level. Just keep that in the back of your head. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into the levels we are we'll be risking off of for our 11 securities that we have planned out for the week. And then we're going to talk more in detail what we're going to be looking at on a daily. All right, let's get into it here.